On Utah's Capitol Hill today, masks in school will be on the agenda in a special session of the legislature next week.
Lawmakers will also spend $1.5 billion in federal COVID-19 relief. Fox 13's Ben Winslow explains it all.
Your elected lawmakers will have a lot of money to spend, and they've got some big issues to tackle. They're also taking up some potentially controversial bills.
Try to make sure that we keep our economy going, and we also deal with the growth that's here.
Republican legislative leaders are figuring out what to spend more than $1.5 billion in federal COVID relief money on. With Utah's economy looking very hot, some are worried about overheating it.
We're going to set some of it aside until we have more information about where the economy is heading.
With all that money, legislative leaders say they want to have generational impact and a statewide benefit.
Legislators do respond to their constituents. So let's make sure that constituents are being heard, because really, I think people forget that government is for you and by you.
A coalition of community advocacy groups are pushing lawmakers to address affordable housing and mental health treatment.
This isn't a Salt Lake problem. This is a statewide problem. How are we going to address it if not with this funding?
That's actually on the minds of the House Speaker and Senate President. But there's other needs too, including support for businesses impacted by COVID-19.
Schools and getting them ready for the fall. We're going to put money into water. Water is a big need for the state.
We'd like to spend more money on broadband because of the fact that we're seeing that the advantages during the pandemic, but also I think that's something Zoom meetings will probably continue after the pandemic.
And your elected lawmakers are considering dozens of bills, including some controversial ones involving the inland port and the mask mandate in schools.
We will be discussing whether or not masks will be allowed in or required in schools in the fall at our universities as well as our public schools. I suspect that a bill that will not make that mandatory will pass.
Lawmakers are getting flooded with emails and calls opposing critical race theory. It's the idea that systemic racism is a part of American society. It's not taught in Utah schools, but some conservative groups want to ensure it's banned.
We don't have consensus on whether or not that's something that we'll be taking up.
And the special session of the Utah State Legislature is scheduled to take place on May 19th. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.